Let me hit record. No, he said all good things. I mean, no,
That's a lie. You know it's
other
true.
other than the normal trash talk that
Well,
Nick
yeah,
does, you know.
yeah.
So
But when it comes to me, he's always so upset about things. So I didn't know how we were starting. I was like, okay, let me be nice. I've only met Wex a couple times, so I don't want him to think I'm a bad person. But he did interview Nick, so I don't want.
no, it's
I,
all
I, I
it.
don't know. I don't know if it's a side thing, like you're on his side or my side. It doesn't matter.
Listen,
Let's start off. Hi, I'm James Monroe. Iglehart. Nice to meet
hey, I'm Wex. So I will preface this, and we're gonna get into the intro and all that sort of stuff. We're just gonna start off just like this.
Yeah, let's go.
I'll do the intro on the front side of it on the
Go.
back end. But so just in case you do hear like screaming and gnashing of teeth in the background,
Yeah.
normally at this time my kids would be in school,
Hmm.
but we have this beautiful hurricane that is literally on top of us right now.
Oh snap.
Well,
Okay.
now it's Tropical Storm Nicole, and
Yeah.
I live in Central Florida, so it's not it's a rainstorm for us. It's
Yeah.
it's 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 nothing too major for us here, but it did close down the school, so now all my kids are home. So if you hear screaming, I promise there's nobody tied up in the closet in the back or anything like that. It's just
With the way that our country is now and the places to go, if you were to have someone tied up in your basement, I'd be like, hey, listen, man, as long as it doesn't infringe on my personal rights, you do what you want, man. As long as it's consensual with the person,
right.
you do what you want. And even if it's not consensual, if they voted the wrong way and they ended up in your basement, that's what has to happen. There's nothing you
Listen,
can do about that. At this point, I'm like, look, man, live and let live.
I had to get off social media. I had to.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
the past 3 days, I'm like, I can't. I like,
The funny thing is I got I'm on social media, and the
yeah.
only thing, this is gonna sound terrible because I did vote,
Mhm.
but the only
I
race
saw. I
that I
commented.
thank you, the only race I really cared about had nothing to do with my state, had nothing to do with my state. The only race I was really interested in was Herschel Walker. I
Yeah.
I just didn't want him to win because I have never.
Has he? Like, I
Oh,
know.
as of right now, it's going to come down to a runoff in December
Okay.
6th again.
I-
Um, and the only reason why it bothered me was because I've never seen a person on television that so made me feel like my when I was a kid, I used to listen to 90s rap music.
Yeah.
And there was
When you
always
were a
some.
kid, you
Yeah,
still you
yeah, there
still
was.
listen.
I still listen to it. There was always some older black person at church that
Hmm.
would see what I was listening to and be like, "That's making black people look bad," and I'd have to argue. And now this is the first, watching Herschel Walker is the first time where I feel like that old person are going, "This dude's making black people look bad," and so
And I
I'm like, "He
wanted,
can't win,
but
please."
here's the problem. I wanted him to be good, and let me explain why. So I grew up. I love football, trading. The football cards, all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
My father trained thoroughbred racehorses. So he trained thoroughbred racehorses for some pretty big people.
Yeah.
So he was the manager of the farm here in Ocala. It was called Kingsman Stud at the time. The
Hmm.
owner of the farm was George Steinbrenner.
Okay.
I have pictures of me as 4 years old, sitting on George Steinbrenner's lap, hanging out.
Wow.
The dude
Okay.
was like, say what you want to about business, or I don't even know anything about that kind of stuff. But I'm like, the dude was awesome to me as a 4 year old.
Yeah. Okay.
He's
Of
amazing.
course.
Um, but he went. My dad went on to manage horses for the owner of I think the Minnesota Vikings at the time, and Herschel Walker was on the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay.
So got me a card with his signature and all this sort of stuff. I was like, oh yeah, I like Herschel Walker.
Yeah.
And then all this stuff came up, and I'm like, oh, I
I
wonder if
think
I
too.
wonder if it's CTE.
Uh,
Can we just blame it on CTE?
No, that's the problem. It'd be different. Like CTE would at least like it would appear that there would be, something wrong or something. This brother's just talking. He seems like the kind of kid in high school who knew there was a book report, never even opened up the inside page of the book to see what it was about to fake it. He just looked at the title and it said Miss Saigon. All right, I'm gonna talk about Miss Saigon. Miss Saigon is the lady that bothered me because first of all, she wasn't married because she was a miss. It was stuff like that. Like when he speaks, I wonder. I'm like, are the women drunk? All the women drunk that he slept with? Because there's no way that this brother has any game whatsoever. To be a politician, you must have game. You
Oh
must be able to
man.
sell yourself. I mean, with the exception of the muscles and what he did on the field, I was like, please do not put this person in a place where he could talk to more people. I'm hoping after this is over, BET and the rest of the black people put him in whatever black pit they put those brothers in that like misrepresent us.
This
That's what
this
I'm hoping.
this reminds me of Chappelle's race draft.
Yeah, literally, he needs to be drafted to someone else. We do, this, you know, hey, we don't need this. You know, when you look at a team, you're like, he's not working out.
Gotta cut him. Gotta cut him.
Herschel's not work because also you have to think about it. If you look at black people as a team,
Yeah.
and we all have our places on the team. There's our quarterbacks, there's our musicians, there's our politicians, there's our theater people. Everybody's doing their job, and when they don't do their job, you cut them from the team and you get a new one.
Yes.
Once he stopped playing football, you know, you can still come to the parties, but once you can still come to the alumni, of the black American team.
Yeah.
But once he jumped into politics, oh no, you must be cut from the team completely. They need to trade him. And there's the white team have some people they'd rather trade.
Oh, come on.
There's a
Oh,
couple
absolutely. I mean,
Trade
in all honesty, about I'm gonna shoot for a low number and say 70% of the politicians right now just need to be cut.
I feel bad. I feel bad because I think here's the problem with it. For me, when I look at the white American politicians, I laugh at them, that 70% you're talking about, because they know they're lying.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That's my problem. My problem is you can see it on their faces that they're lying.
Yes.
And you go, you don't believe that. And you don't believe that when you're at home, when you're with your significant other, when you're with your when you're with your tight-knit group. All of us boys have that one tight-knit group where you tell the truth. That's 70% of politicians who are lying. You don't believe that. My problem with Herschel Walker is this dumbass believes what he says, and that's why he needs to be traded. We didn't need to start this whole thing like that, but I mean, it'd be different if I could see in his eyes that he knew he was lying.
Yeah.
This dude thinks, he really thinks he's a cop. He really.
Oh my God.
And I was like, when the last time I impersonated somebody, I was in junior high. No, I was in elementary school, and I wore a Michael Jackson glove to school. This fool brought out the badge on TV, and even when it hit the light, it was plastic, and I was like, no, at least get a metal one. Come on.
One of these things does not look like the other.
Really?
Let's
But go ahead, Wes. Sorry.
No, man. No, I love this. I love it. I just, and that's what this show is about: is barbells, beats, and buffoonery. So we are all in.
We're all in right now.
We're all in. We're going to talk. We're actually going to talk on all those things with you because I've got some awesome. So I think I told you this, that I've only been to Broadway one time.
No, you never said that. No.
Yes. So that one time I was at Broadway. I surprised my wife with tickets to Hamilton.
Nice.
And so I'm gonna tell a story on her. She never listens to the podcast, so
well played.
My luck, because she knows you're on, she will listen to this one, and I'm gonna be in big trouble. But I've told this story before, that she so I love to surprise my wife with things. So one year I surprised her for our anniversary. She had never been off the continent. She never been off the continent, not Hawaii, not Alaska, any of that. So I bought tickets and surprised her with tickets to go to the Virgin Islands, St. Thomas.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh man, I'm going to get her. Okay. So I'm like, pack a bag. She's like, okay. I'm like, we're getting on a plane in Orlando. I'm not going to show you the tickets. I'm not telling you where we're going. Just know that you're going to need a bathing suit, tropical, type climate, things like that. She's like, okay. So we get on the plane. My buddy bumps us up to first class. He works for one of the airlines. Bumps up to first class. Now, only for the first trip, which was Orlando to Miami, which that's like taking the subway. Just
it's like 15 minutes.
Like 15 minutes. We literally got up. We flew up, took a mimosa, basically shot a mimosa, and came back down.
Well played. Well played.
But
Nice.
first
First
class,
class.
we
You
got to
promised to. You didn't say how long. You just promised
yeah,
to first class.
we got to recline the seats all the way out and then immediately put them back up.
Yes.
So we land in Miami. She still has no idea where we're going. And I'm like, hey, you go over to Starbucks, get yourself a coffee. I'm going to, because the way I had it set up, I had to get my tickets at each gate. So I
Yep.
went to the gate, got the tickets, and I walked back over to her and I got my camera out, right? I got my phone, turned my phone on. And I'm like, I'm going to surprise her with tickets and I want to see her reaction. And I hand her the tickets and she looks at it and she goes, oh, cool. And I'm like, oh,
Like, but we're going out of the country,
we're
babe.
going off the mainland. We're going
Right.
to
Right.
a tropical island with,
Yeah.
margaritas and,
Exactly. This it's like the commercials, babe. We're
yeah,
going.
the crystal clear blue water, all that. And she was like,
Right.
oh, cool. And let me just put it, I mean, she loved the trip.
Of
She
course.
wants to go
Yes.
back. I mean, she was floored by the trip, but she's not a very reactionary person. So I bought tickets for Hamilton. I knew we were going up there. From my best friend got married. He did a destination wedding. We got married. He got married in Central Park,
Nice.
right under that bridge, that famous
Yeah. I know what you're
bridge.
talking about.
Yeah, yeah. So they got married there. But I'm like, while we're there, I'm like, I want to go, take my wife to go see Hamilton because we love the show. Absolutely love the show. And so leading up to it, I'm like, hey, I got your birthday present. She's like, what's this bill on the credit card? I'm like, don't worry about it. Why is it so much money? Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. I'm like, we're going somewhere for your birthday. So as we got closer, I'm like, do you want me to tell you what it is? She's like, yes. And I remember distinctly, we're like sitting, like we had we are out back in the pool, hanging out. And I'm like, you want me to tell you what it is? She's like, yes. I go, we're going on Broadway to see Hamilton. And I wish I had my camera. Screaming, hugging, like almost crying, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're going. And I'm like,
You're like, I took you to an island
I took
and
you to
you
an
said
island.
cool. I take you to a couple hours away to watch people rap, and you real. Hey, bruh, I overstand.
Yeah.
I've been married 20 years, and I never know what she's going to. I have a feeling of what Dawn is going to get excited about, and then other times I don't. I'm just
Yeah.
glad that as long as she's not mad, I'm fine.
Absolutely. No, but all that to say, all that to wrap around, we went and saw Hamilton on Broadway, and you were our Lafayette and Jefferson.
Wow. Okay. Well,
So
thank you.
that's what kind of started like me kind of following you in your career and the
Yes.
things that you're doing. And then of course, I really got to know you based off of Burr's Corner.
Understandable. Yes.
It is something that we absolutely love in our house. Like we go through and we watch it, and like we'll listen and watch them all. And my kids all love Hamilton. I've got 4 kids, 13, 9, 5, and 2. And
Work.
yeah,
Work.
yeah,
Work. Work.
all the time. And but my 13-year-old, my 9-year-old loved it, loved the show, loved it when it came out on Disney, so they
Yep.
could actually watch it and put faces to it.
Of course.
But really for me, Hamilton was the very first, like I had listened to some musicals here and there, but I wasn't really like deep invested in musicals. And Hamilton was the first one that I listened to, and I was like immediately just attached. I was like, wow, this is incredible. And this is before it came out on Disney Plus, before I saw it, on Broadway. And I was listening to the soundtrack on Spotify, literally on repeat hundreds of times.
Wow.
Me and a buddy of mine, we would go back and forth and we were like, yeah, I was listening to this. I was, watching this, and just kind of going through the whole Hamilton journey.
Yeah.
So basically to you, how did that journey go for you? Obviously you were on the stage playing the part, but how did
Yeah.
you get introduced and your attachment to it?
Well, I've had a kind of a long history with Hamilton, actually. I'm mostly known for playing the genie in Disney's Aladdin.
Yes. We're going to get to
But
that one too.
yes, but the funny part is, I originally I'm a part of a group called Freestyle Love Supreme,
Yep.
which has the original members of the original cast of Hamilton in it: Lin Manuel Miranda, Chris Jackson, David Diggs, Tommy Kail, who directed the show, is also our director.
Yeah.
So to be a part of that, what was happening was Lynn came to us, and he was doing In the Heights, and he let us know that he found this book about Alexander Hamilton. He was going to make this mixtape, and we were like, "Cool, that sounds great." So we all knew that he was working on it,
Yeah.
and then he was doing this thing at Lincoln Center, and they had asked him to do the All American Songbook, and they wanted him to do In the Heights, and he said, "Hey, can I do this new musical I have?" So but it wasn't done. He only had like maybe 6 or 7 songs written. So half the show were the songs that were his inspirations in his life. Through hip hop that also helped inspire Hamilton. And
Yeah.
then the second half of the show was, these songs from Hamilton. And he asked a couple of us, me, Utkarsh Imbakar, who is UTK, or most
Hmm.
people would know him from the hit show, CBS show Ghosts,
Yep. He's on Ghosts.
Mandy Gonzalez, Chris Jackson, John Rua. Let's see who else was there. Oh, they're gonna shoot me for not knowing everybody. There's a Shockwave. Our beatboxer was there. Bill Sherman was there.
Yeah.
Alex Laccamore was there. So we were all there, and he asked me to play Mulligan. He said Mulligan is kind of like this Busta Rhymes type character. That's how I see him, and I want you to do this thing with me. I said, yeah, sure, great. Now I had just done Aladdin in Seattle as a pilot production, and that night we were there. Our same director for Aladdin, Casey Nicola, was there too. So we get up, we do our Hamilton thing, and I do my shot with Lynn. There's a video of someplace on YouTube of me and Lynn doing it together.
Yeah.
And we were like, cool, that's great, because Lynn hadn't made it a show yet. It was just the mixtape. And after that night, that same night, the Disney people came up to me and said, "Hey, you're going to get a call from Disney in a couple of days, just letting you know." So I was like, cool. And sure enough, I get a call from Casey telling me that Aladdin may get a green light after we do this little demo. So I was doing both Aladdin and Hamilton at the same time,
Ah.
just this new thing until, I had to make the decision of which one to go to.
Yeah.
And of
So
course, the rest of history over that.
so so what made that decision for you? Like as far as
Um,
going, because
I,
I had thought Aladdin was actually out a lot uh before that.
It was. So what happened was, while Aladdin was in development before Hamilton was.
Hmm.
So Tommy Kail, the director, came to me and he said, "Hey, we're doing this new workshop, and we want you to be a part of it." And he was like, "But I understand that you're doing stuff with Aladdin. What do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, I literally just came back from Seattle. Aladdin is about to pick up again. Honestly, I think the part is great, but I think I'm going to stick with this Aladdin thing, because in one show, I am the star,
Yeah.
and the other show, I'm a co-star. So I
Yeah.
was like, I'm going to try this. Now, no one knew what Hamilton was going to be. No
Sure.
one knew. No one knew. But also, to this day, even if I knew, I think I made the best decision, because with I was a part of Freestyle Love Supreme. We've all had our own successes, but Aladdin was my own success in my own way. And still, because of this wonderful journey, I was able to come back to the Hamilton family later on, after having much success with Aladdin.
Yeah.
So I remember distinctly Disney calling me, and then like a couple of days later, Tommy calling me, and me telling Tommy I'm going to go with this Aladdin thing. He said, "I totally respect your decision. I think that's a good decision for you. Do that." And I went off and went on the Aladdin journey, and distinctly remember during my contracts asking for the day off for when Hamilton opened, because I knew I wanted to be there, and
Yeah.
I was able to go.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I was there at the opening for Hamilton to support my friends, and then 3 years later, I get another call from Tommy. He's like, "Hey, Diggs is leaving. Do you want to come into the Ham Fam?" And I was like, "Sure." And then what's funny is we'd all seen each other. We still did Freestyle Love Supreme shows
Yeah.
together, so we were all in the same circles. Just
And the funny thing about Hamilton is it has opened me up to so many other things. So Freestyle Love Supreme, I love the documentary that went out
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
with them. I wanted to get up there to see a show, but it,
Well, they're in
it's
Vegas
hard.
now. They're in Vegas now, so
Yeah.
they'll be in Vegas for a little while. So go to Vegas. You never know who you might see. Trust me.
Exactly. But then I started following everybody. So,
Yeah,
with the original Hamilton cast, obviously David, followed him with everything he's doing with clipping,
yeah,
which, man, the dude,
ridiculous.
the dude is ridiculous.
One of the best rappers I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
Trust me.
In fact, I did an episode where we made a mixtape. Like we made I did an episode with a buddy of mine who is big into hip hop, and he made it. I'm like, you take your 5 best, I take my 5 best, and we're gonna do like basically a mixtape battle.
Nice.
And David was one of the ones I picked.
Yeah,
I'm like,
nice.
because
Of course.
the guy's just insane. Um,
Yeah. Also, that's the wonderful thing about Lynn. Lynn writes your style. Like
yeah.
he learns you as a, not just as a friend and also as a performer, and writes your style. So when he wrote, you know, Lafayette Jefferson, he wrote it for Diggs, and which was funny because when they asked me to play it, I was like, "Yo, I don't rap like Diggs. That's not my style."
Yeah.
And Tommy was like, "I know, but we want you to bring your style to this." He goes, "We know you can rap as fast as he can. We know that, but you know, we want you to bring your thing." And I didn't do. I said at first I said no, and it was Diggs who called me, and we had a conversation. He's like, you know, Diggs, he was like, "Yo, man, I think you know you can really bring your style to this. You know, they don't want me. That's why they called you because you're so different from me." And I was like, "Cool, thank you, bro. It means a lot." So that's what happened.
Which actually, I think
Ah, oh yes,
there he is right
the
there.
pop. Oh yes. I called when I first time I saw the pop. When I saw his and Chris, I called. I was like, "You guys are official pops. It's amazing."
Actually, back here I've got Jefferson, Lafayette, Burr, two Hamiltons, and a King George.
Work,
I
nice.
gotta. I'm trying to build up the whole collection.
Of
So
course.
got to get them. But so was it easier for you knowing Diggs
Yes.
walking into that role, or was it
Yeah.
still?
Yes and no. It was easier because I knew he wasn't going to feel a certain kind of way about it. It
Mhm.
was hard because he's my friend, and
Yeah.
I didn't want to, mess up something that he had. With Broadway, like when you create a role, it's one thing, and the last thing you want to do is to mess up somebody's creation, and he put such a stamp on this role. He won a Tony for it.
Yeah.
And, and my Tony comes from me, being Genie, which is totally different style. It's a comedy, it's big, it's brass, it's crazy, and to have to bring it down to this, and not down in a bad way, but like
Yeah.
kind of morph it into like this thing. But I remember out of everything that happened, Diggs came to see the show, and I was like, okay, so you can be honest. He was like, actually, man, he said, I didn't know if I was going to really enjoy seeing it because I've been a part of it so long, but seeing you do it, it was so different. I really got just to enjoy the show. And I was like,
Awesome.
thank you, thank you. So he was like, nah, man, you did your thing. He goes, I tell everybody James is dope. And I was like, once I got Diggs' approval, I felt I was okay. I was okay.
Yeah. He's just such a personality too.
Yeah,
Like
he's the,
everything I see him
the
on.
sweetest guy. Just the nicest person, but also just one of the most laid back. I mean, we're both from the Bay Area,
Yeah.
and my Bay Area is MC Hammer. I'm very hype. I'm very up and out. He is very chill. He's definitely Yay area on that side. And I love that about him. We're the two sides of the Bay.
Yeah. That's awesome. So moving into that Hamilton role, and that's interesting that you say that about, not wanting to go in behind somebody and, kind of be compared to the person who made the character.
Yeah,
Because even sitting and watching the show, I had to tell myself, I'm like, okay, this is going to be different.
yeah,
And I need to be okay with it.
yeah.
I need to be okay with knowing that some things are gonna not, some riffs aren't gonna be the same riffs because it's
Exactly.
not, it's not Chris Jackson, it's not
No,
Leslie Odom, it's
no.
not those guys. But still finding myself like these guys did an incredible, amazing job. So I mean, the show was just it blew our minds. I actually posted on social media today. I was like, here's a hint to I'm doing an interview today, and here's a hint. And I posted from my seats.
Thank you,
Just
thank you. That's awesome.
it wasn't during the show.
Smart.
None of that.
No, you're good. You're
But
good.
just took a shot before the show, and and posted it
Of
up there.
course.
But it just, man, such an experience, and just an amazing time. And everybody, like I said, to be on that stage doing what that show is about. Um, I don't think that anybody takes it lightly.
No, we don't. We know what a privilege it is to do the show. We know what not a weight, but we know that the show does have weight to it, and not just because of what it's known for, but just the reputation. You
Yeah.
want people to come in. It's got this reputation of being this amazing thing, and the last thing you want to do is let people down. So we
Mm.
really work hard to not only give them the best show possible, but tell the story in the best way, and also give respect to what the writer wrote and what the director and the choreographer put together, so that the audience could enjoy what they meant to see. And also, it's Hamilton's story, so
Yeah.
let's give him the respect he needs. And also, but the great part is, Tommy told us to put our own spin on, he never wants anybody to be a cookie cutter moment. So
Yeah.
for me, um, Diggs is a very tall, lean, sexy guy, and he's very smooth with everything he does. And I am a very tall, stocky, I'm attractive, cute guy, but also he's a tenor. He's a baritone, but also I'm a legit baritone when it comes to my speaking voice.
Hmm.
And I'm looking at the character, and I told Tommy, I said, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but I kind of see Jefferson as Apollo Creed. And he said, what do you mean? And I was like, well, if you look at the first two Rocky films, Rocky 1, he doesn't take Rocky seriously at all.
Yeah.
And in their first fight, he realizes, oh God, this boy can hit. So the second fight, he comes in, ready to go, no shucking, no jiving, just business.
Yeah.
So my Jefferson is based kind of like on Apollo Creed, Muhammad Ali. So with a hint of like, 90s swag rappers. So I look at Hamilton like he's Rocky. So my first the first cabinet battle is Rocky 1. Second battle is Rocky 2, which is funny because actually, if I will argue this to the grave, Jefferson wins cabinet battle 2. He wins cabinet battle 2 because here's the thing: Washington and Washington and Hamilton already come in knowing they're going to not go with Jefferson.
Yeah.
They're not going to war. So Jefferson, all of his points are absolutely right. Everything he says is right. He wins the battle. If you listen to the cabinet battle again, Hamilton does not rap about the issues. He raps about Jefferson, which is what Jefferson did in the first rap battle. So actually, Jefferson wins the second rap. If there had been a third one, then we can talk about who's better. But Jefferson wins the second. But because Hamilton has Washington on his side,
Yep.
which we sing about, he wins. So that's just my take. But that's just me.
No, I'm with you. I see it.
That was my motivation. So when we did it, I would always see it as like I won that battle and I got double teamed and it wasn't fair, which leads, as an actor, you have to find your reasoning for stuff. Like Diggs had different reasoning, but we got to all. The fun thing is Tommy would sit down with each new cast and like, what's your motivation for this? Why would you do this? And it really helped us stay grounded so that when the audience came in, even though they were expecting something different, what they saw was a real show with real intentions. And it wasn't just oh, look, we're going to do what the other guys did because that's what you paid to see. We're going to show you the story. And I think once people get past like, oh my God, that's not Lynn, that's not Diggs, they go, oh my God, the story. They get so into it because we're telling it like it's our story.
Yeah. And I think it took me maybe 15 minutes into the show to just get over, just kind of get the feelers out there and get over the initial shock of, okay, this is what I'm used to listening to, different voices, different people. They don't look the same. They, this person's different, so, but once we got 15 minutes in, I was like, this is
you're in it.
In it 100%, just 100% in. So it was awesome. So great show.
Thank you.
But I mean, I have you on here. So like, what are you working on now? Because you are quite possibly the busiest person I've ever met in my life.
I am.
We've been working on this for 8 months.
That is true. That's very true. That is very true. That's so true. I am currently working on my holiday show, which is called Holiday. So the Family Holiday Playlist at 54 Below,
okay,
December 8th and 9th at 7:00. And it's a fun. I love the holiday season. I hate the weather. I hate the weather in the East Coast. I am such a California kid.
When you say East Coast, you mean Northeast Coast?
I mean Northeast Coast because if I could do Christmas in Florida, I would because I like sun.
Yeah.
So and I'm used to California. And I've been here almost 20 years. I've been here like 16 years, which is crazy to say that I've been on Broadway that long.
That's awesome.
But I love the season and I wanted to do something fun because every year my wife and we have all these songs that we play. And from my childhood, my mom is a singer. So I have all these songs. And so I said, I wrote this story that goes through the family holiday playlist. Like what were the songs I listened to and why? And, and it's cabaret, but it's funny. I have a whole tirade about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, how I love the song, but the Rankin and Bass cartoon, I watch it every year and don't understand why I do that to myself because I get pissed off every year. I'm not going to explain why. You got to come see the show.
Gotta see the show.
You got to come see the show and I'll explain. but yeah, that's what I'm working on. And in January, I start rehearsals for Disney's Hercules, which I'm really looking
Oh,
forward to. So it'll be
so wait,
basically
so hold on. Disney's Hercules. So
yes.
which Disney's Hercules? So like
Ah,
the live action movie
no,
or
the musical.
the musical? Okay, because
Yes.
there's also
Well,
talks
no,
about,
there's two, right?
yeah, there's
No,
also
this
talks about the movie coming out too.
yeah, no, this is based on the cartoon,
Okay.
which is like Aladdin was,
Yeah.
and I think the movie is too, but I have no, we're not connected with that. Where Disney, I've worked for Disney long enough to know that Disney's such a big conglomerate of different pieces of the pie. Like they don't know what we doing, we don't know what they doing, and they'll
Yeah.
figure it out. And but yeah, we're doing that at Paper Mill Playhouse, and I
Okay.
think we open in March and go till a little bit in early April. And I play Phil, so I have done the role before, and I've been doing it in all the readings, so it should be extremely fun. I cannot wait for folks to see it,
That's awesome.
and I'm looking forward to folks just really enjoying what we're putting together. Trust me, I know everybody's worried about the muses. Don't. We got some ladies that can sing they faces off, and
No
you are
doubt.
going
No
to
doubt.
lose your
Well,
mind when you
I
see it.
mean, you just finished a run with Philippa Sue.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
I got folks. I
you
got
got
folks.
people.
I got peoples.
Like I see shows pop up that you're doing, and I'm just like, this is unfair. It's just
I was
ridiculous.
I'm very blessed and very lucky to be in the right place at the right time for certain things.
Yeah,
And
because you
the
had your
time
run in Chicago.
yes, I had a wonderful time playing Billy Flynn, which I
Yep,
never thought I would ever get to play. And that was so much fun. And then my one of my dream roles was Nathan Detroit, and I got to play that just this past couple months.
that's
So,
awesome.
and to play opposite Jesse Mueller playing, Adelaide was great, and also Philippa Sue and her husband Stephen Pasquale, and also Kevin Chamberlain as Nicely Nicely. I mean, we had some folks. It was
Yeah,
really really fun.
yeah, and so, and I was listening to a podcast with you beforehand, talking about how you kind of got into theater, and it was originally you wanted to be a wrestler.
Yes, yes. Oh gosh, yes. Oh gosh, I still I still kick it with the WWE and AEW folks. I know a few of them, and I love it. And I've loved it since I was 10. And I wanted to be a wrestler. I thought that was it. I remember where I was 16 and I was watching Raw in my house in Hayward, and one of the Hayward schools commercials came up, and I went to the school and everything. And my father made a, I think I'm maybe the story you heard. My father came to me and said, please, he made a deal with me. He said, look, wrestling is hard. This is before the contracts. They were still doing handshakes. And my dad said,
Yeah,
please go to school. If you go to school and after school, if you still want to be a wrestler, I will support you. But right now, I need you because if you get hurt, there's nothing you can do. So I
yep,
need you to go to school. And I made the right decision. I made the right decision.
yeah.
I always laugh when the WWE guys or ladies come to the Broadway shows and they go, how do you do that? And I'm like, how do you do that? Because I don't understand.
You know who I was really impressed with. And I just saw flashes of the match, but the I can't remember which brother it is. One of the Paul
Logan
brothers,
Paul.
Logan Paul.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
No, Logan is
I'm
good.
like,
This is his this is second or third major match. I think it's second because his first one was with the Miz. No, it's his third because he did a tag team with the Miz against the Mysterios.
yeah,
Then he went against the Miz, and then he went against Roman. But to step up to be a headliner with Roman, he's
and
good.
some
He's
of the
good.
moves he pulled
Yeah,
off, the jumping from the top, and that punch, and then
yeah.
you saw the video one he did, right,
Yes,
where he's like,
yes,
you're going viral.
yes.
I'm like,
So the three
incredible.
guys who've come in. Well, there's a couple of people who've come in from the outside world who've done really really well in wrestling, and they are Bad Bunny, was great.
Hmm.
Anel, the guy who I can't think of his first name, the guy who played Green Arrow. Um,
Oh, Stephen Amell.
Stephen Amell. Stephen
Yep.
Amell was fabulous because he wrestled Cody Rhodes, and also he's really really good. But also Logan Paul, and then of course there was LT Lawrence Taylor back in the day, back in the '90s.
Oh yeah.
So there's some folks who like they come from the outside and like no, they're athletes. They really can do this,
Yeah,
and
and I follow Stephen Amell and all the stuff he's doing. Of course, he has the show Heels.
yeah, which
Yeah,
which he did with CM Punk, which I want to watch, and I've just been too busy to watch
yeah,
because I love
same.
wrestling. So anything with wrestling, I would try to watch. But I am such a professional. People say, "Are you a WWE fan?" I'm like, no, I am a professional wrestling fan. I love professional wrestling. So it doesn't matter whether it's WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan Pro Wrestling, whether it's whether it's Impact Wrestling, whether it's some independent wrestling, PWG. I love professional wrestling, and it's just It's that if there's a hobby besides comic books, that is it.
So it's funny that I coach my son's t-ball. And I'm actually like I'm on the board for the little league and things like that. So
Yeah.
I was actually talking to one of the coaches, and he just moved down from Maryland, and he's like, yeah, I used to put on wrestling shows all the time. He's like, so I'd have all these people come in and do wrestling, and like we put on a show. So we'd
Yeah.
go to a Boys and Girls Club, we'd set up a ring, and we'd put on a legit show.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to do it down here. And I'm like, you do? Like, well, I do podcasting, but I'm also a DJ. I do MC work. So, like I've hosted competitions and things like that. I'm
Right.
like, he's like, would you be the MC? I'm like,
Yes.
yes, I would.
Yeah.
He's like, you look like you could probably handle yourself a little bit. He's like, would you be down to like throw,
like take a bump,
like take one or throw one? And I'm like, absolutely.
Hell
I'm like,
yeah.
let's go. This is every kid's dream.
Yes.
I remember, I think it was my 6th or 7th birthday. I got a Hulkamania wrestling workout kit.
Everybody, yes.
It had the headband, had the armbands, had
Yes.
the little curl, little dumbbells you could curl. I'm like, dude, I'm in. So like now I'm apparently like helping him put this thing together. He's like,
Oh my gosh.
he's like, if
Please,
you know people, get these people here and there
please let
here.
me know if you need me to help
Oh,
promote. I would love to talk about it. It'd be great. Let me know what's going on.
It's well, absolutely. I'll let him
Yeah,
know. Be like,
let me know what's going on.
hey, if you're ever in Florida, you want to just jump in a ring and
Bro, don't tempt me. My wife keeps telling me, she's like, stop. My wife says, she goes, you can't do that, honey.
So one of the things, and you kind of alluded to this a little bit, but I noticed you kind of went through a transformation yourself. And one of obviously it's barbells, beats, and buffoonery. So I talk fitness, I talk all sort of things, but you kind of went through a health transformation.
Yes.
So kind of walk us through that a little bit. Kind of how all that came about.
Yeah, I've always been a big guy. When I was in high school, when you're in high school, you're always thin because your metabolism is just fast, and so everything happens. And then you get to college and it slows down, and you get to college and you stop. You either are that working out person, or you're not.
Yeah.
In high school you dance and do stuff because you have to. High school, college, you make the decision, I'm going to class, not the gym.
Yep.
And that's what happened. I gained a lot of weight, but I was always an athletic guy. I was always dancing, and especially with my theater background, so I was always in musicals, so I was always dancing or moving or whatever. So I was big, but I was the big guy that could move.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was, while I was on Broadway, I was, in Memphis, which I danced a lot. I was in Aladdin, which I danced a lot. And I was doing Hamilton, and I was running up the stairs. There's tons of stairs in that show. Everything was fine. And then I would go to the doctors every year, and they would say, hey, you're not diabetic. You're not pre-diabetic, but, because of your size, you have to watch out. I was like, yeah, fine. When I got it. And I got diabetes on both sides of my family, but I was like, yeah, but I dance every day. I'm fine. I don't have to worry about a thing.
I'll be good.
And my brother is like rock hard abs. I mean, he is gym rat number one. He can cut up for days, can't gain weight whatsoever. I mean, he looks like Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon. He's like cut, ripped. He's so mad at me. He's like, how come you can gain weight? I'm like, don't know what it is, but hey, whatever. So
meanwhile, you're like, how are these the same genetics?
How's this work?
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, I enjoyed being, big. I wasn't embarrassed. I actually thought it was fun because, when I walked in, I knew that I was going to look different. But during the pandemic, I went to the doctors, and I had sat around for almost a year but didn't change my diet. I just kept eating the same way. And when you're doing that and you don't have anything to burn it off, both sides of my family finally caught up with me.
Gotcha.
And also, I went to a doctor who didn't know who I was, and I will say conceited, self-absorbed me. I was so used to being recognized, Wex. I was so used to, oh my God, it's James Iglehart from Hamilton and Genie. I was so used to that when I walked into this doctor's office, and I'll say it, this white man treated me like some fat black dude he had never met before. Like I forgot what it was like to be a normal black person talking to an arrogant white person. It hadn't happened in so long that I was. My ego hurt. I was taken aback because the dude it wasn't personal. It was just a general hi. You're a fat black person, so I'm gonna talk to you this way. And he was like,
Yeah.
you have diabetes. I was like, okay. I'm used to doctors saying, and this is what we're gonna do about it. He goes, there's nothing you can do about it. And I was like, damn, that he said those words to
Ouch.
me.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? I think at first of all, I was like, why are you starting the conversation off like that?
Yeah.
And he
Don't
was
you
like,
know who I am?
right, right. And I was like, well, I was thinking, and he goes, look, stop, stop. He literally said that we're on the phone. And he's like, stop, listen, you just need to grasp the fact that you have diabetes and you have to live with it. You're going to take insulin for the rest of your life. And once you just grasp that, you'll be fine. And
Huh.
to say that to say it was a blessing for him that he was on the phone and not in front of me.
Yeah.
I was so hot, I didn't know what to do with myself. I was so
Yeah.
mad. So my wife and I, we found a different endocrinologist, and she said, "No, you can fix this. It's going to take work, but you can
Absolutely.
fix this.
Yeah.
And do you want to be off insulin?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Okay, you're going to have to change your diet. You're going to have to work out, and you're going to have to keep doing this. That is your life. Your
Yeah.
life is, you have to watch what you eat, and you have to be active, or it will take over." And I said, that's not going to be me. So I went to work. So the funny thing was, during the pandemic, I'm working. So by the time the pandemic was over and I came back to work, people were like, "Where's the rest of you?" And I was like, "No, no, no, I'm fine." People were like, "Oh my God, James I saw it. People were like, "James Iglehart sick. He's dying." And I'm like, "I'm not dying." And
Wardrobe's like, what the hell?
right, no, oh. I called them. They were like, "Okay, the show's opening." I said, "We're gonna have to have some costume fittings." They're like, "Why? Why would we do?" We had like, "Trust me." So I went down there, and they said they put the costume on. They were like, "Oh my God!" They had to build me a new costume
Be like, yo, you got
because I
David,
was
you got David's
right,
old
because I was 295, and I came back in at like 240, and they were like,
Ah,
"Oh!" I was
wow.
like, "Hi, how you doing?"
Yeah.
So I'm about 250 now because Halloween, Christmas, things like that.
Sure. Sure.
Thanksgiving, and it's coming back up.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I had to make light about it, but it really was about, I made a life choice, and my family was right there with me, and I said, I don't want to I don't want this to control me.
Hmm.
So we had to change some things, and trust me, I hate when people say, "Oh my God, I've lost weight and I feel better." No, I hate it.
Yeah.
Every time I walk down a cookie aisle, I want to burn it to the ground. I get so mad, especially, and the people I get mad at the most are Oreos. How dare you
Yep.
come out with some new scientific concoction every freaking month of a new Oreo I'd
Oh
like
my
to try,
gosh.
but I can't,
Yeah.
because I'm like, Oreo life Oreo. You're not important.
Yeah. Well, I had to make the decision, kind of the same.
Yeah.
I had always been a little bit heavier, but I was under the impression that I was fine. I was like, I no, I look normal.
Yeah.
This is what I look at every day.
Right.
I look good, I look fine. And I had gotten up to about 280, about 280. I was pushing, 280, 285.
Hmm.
And I started eating different. I'm like, you know what? Let me just eat different, get healthy. Started having kids, and I'm like, I want to be here. I want to be here for my kids.
Yes.
I want to be
Yes.
around.
I'm with
And also, my father passed away at 40.
you. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he died of cancer at 40. He had some other health issues and things like that attributed to it, but it was one of the things I had to take a good hard look. I was 12 when he passed away.
Wow.
It was like
Sorry about that.
2 weeks before my 13th birthday. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
jeez.
And so, there's a huge portion of my life where my father wasn't there because,
Right.
he had passed away. And, so I had to take a good hard look and be like, do I want to be here for my kids, or am I going to be the same? And, and I started, I got into CrossFit. So I started, hitting the gym. I was like, this freaks me out, this whole CrossFit thing. And,
Yeah.
I literally was looking, like, I went to the gym that I started at, and I was looking around the corner, just like peeking around the corner. And the coach is like, it's okay, you can come in, like, come in and check this out. But I started like running and doing that sort of thing. Now I'm sitting at about 220.
Nice.
But
Nice
but
work.
and this is a journey. So this isn't
No, I
something that
understand.
I
No.
did over, over the pandemic. This is like, I've been
Yeah.
doing CrossFit for about 7-8 years now.
Yeah.
But you know, it was very hard when I turned 40. I'm 42 now. when I turned 40, I was very cognizant of that age, because that was the age that my dad had passed away. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel like now I'm living on borrowed time. Like I have there's this weird change that happened, and I'm living on borrowed time, and I need to make sure that I'm here for my kids
Of
for the
course.
long haul. And with
Right.
my kids being as little as 2, like when my dad passed away, my little brother was actually he was 2, so
Oh.
he doesn't even remember my dad really.
Yeah.
So but there was that change, of
Yeah.
having to go and work and work and work and work, and finally lost all this weight. And I remember the moment I realized I was as big as I was going back through these old photos, and I would do live band karaoke. Me and a buddy of mine, we would drive down to Orlando. I live about an hour and a half north of Orlando.
Okay.
And so we would drive down to Orlando, downtown Orlando, every Sunday night to do live band karaoke. And when I say it's like no karaoke you've ever done before, this band is a professional band. Like,
Hmm.
they could go on tour with anybody, anywhere, but they were
Yeah.
doing this. They were doing the show. And like one night, I'm sitting there and I'm over at the bar. Me and my buddy were getting a drink. And this is the same guy who got married in New York, actually,
Nice.
my best friend. I'm sitting by the bar, and they call this guy up. They're like, Chris, get your, no, not Joey. They're like, Joey, get your ass up here. And this dude comes up, he's got this hoodie on, and he starts singing Sweet Child of Mine. And I look at my buddy Jeremy. I'm like, this guy's pretty good. And I look up, and he pulls his hoodie down. It's Joey Fatone. And I'm
Right.
like, oh,
Yo, this real people.
real people that actually. And
Yes.
he's at a dive bar in downtown Orlando doing
Hmm.
live band karaoke. I saw him there. I saw Chris Kirkpatrick popped in there. So I think they had 3/5 of NSYNC at some time. In fact, they had them up there one night, and I think it was Chris, because he's kind of the one that's a little funny
Yeah.
with everything. But one of the guys that was hosting it was like, "Hey, man, you've been here. Joey's been here. Um, who else? Oh, he's like, what's the chance of us getting an NSYNC reunion? Like getting you all here." And he's like, Justin, he would do it. He's just so famous. It's hard for him to come to a place like this. He's like,
Yeah.
JC would
Right.
do it. He's like, Lance, not really his kind of bar.
Right. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like,
Right.
oh,
Not really his kind of place.
oh, come
Which is
on.
kind of funny. Which is funny.
Yeah. But just really cool. So anyways, they had these professional photographers that would come and take these photos, and then throughout the week they would post on their on MySpace, of
Right.
all places.
Oh, I remember that. I remember MySpace.
Yes, they would post on MySpace all these photos of everybody performing, and you'd go and you find your photos, and you
Yeah.
download them. And I was going back through, and I was looking for something, for some promo I was doing, and I found this photo, and I was like, oh my god. And I called my friend, and I was like, you're an ass. He's like, like, I called him out of the blue. I'm like, you're an ass. He's like, what did I do? I'm like, you never told me. I'm like, never told you what? Like, you never told me I was huge, like huge. And he's like, you were just you. Like, it was no big deal. I'm like, no, you should have told me.
Well, what's funny is when we went, my wife and I would go back and look at pictures and stuff. Like if you go, the funny thing is going back through Instagram. Like if you go
Yeah.
back through Instagram and you see early pictures of me in Memphis or in Aladdin, and then swing up to 2021. I posted a picture of me in my Jefferson outfit my first year 2017, and then when I came back for the pandemic, and it's significant.
Yeah.
It's very significant. And what's every time I would go places, people would go, what, I hate to ask, but what happened? What happened? And I have no problem. I was like, I think we look at diabetes and we look at weight loss, and instead of saying, we always go, oh my God, congratulations, were you trying to do it? You're like, yeah, but not for the reason you think. I
Yeah.
wasn't, my joke is I have to lose weight for health reasons, but
Hmm.
if I'm going to do it, I might as well try to look good.
Yeah.
But you're not doing it, we're not doing it because we have some sense of egotistical moment. We already have our wives. We
Yeah.
already got, the girls already came to us. So obviously it was the personality and the smile
Exactly.
that did it. Now that we cute, that's just the added bonus for the ladies. They already liked what they had. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but I look at it as like, like, oh my God, good for you. You're like, no, it's not good for you. It's like what you're saying. I looked crazy before. It's not that. It's like I did it so I could still be alive to
Yeah.
listen to you say something stupid like that. So,
I love that backhand. Just a little
you know,
dig. Love it.
because sometimes losing weight is the one time where people act like, oh, I can finally tell you, oh, so glad
Yeah.
you're looking good now, and you want to look at them and you want to go, being ultra skinny ain't the smartest thing either.
Yeah.
So and you also you want to go. Some of us that were big were happy, and some
Yeah.
of us that were big were actually okay. I had a health scare, so
Mhm.
I had to. But if I hadn't had a health scare, my family's been big forever, and they stayed till 90s and 80s, just eating the worst horrible things ever. And I don't know how they doing it, but
Yeah.
I was totally fine with that.
And you probably could, but you'd have to trade it. But what's
Yeah.
the trade-off?
What's the trade
I
off?
got to
But
stick
I
myself with a needle and do,
exactly, and I was like,
insulin shots. And I'm like, I don't want to go that route.
I didn't want to go that route. Also, I don't like needles, so I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I definitely have motivation to not do this.
Yeah.
So what can I do? So here I am, and I take this thing called metformin, which I have to because
Yep.
we have to set your thing right. But I'm enjoying life, and I'm settling into my 245, 250 style because I was 234, and I was like, ooh, a little too small,
Yeah.
and like 240, 250. I'm like, yeah, that's an Iglehart size. Most of the
Yeah.
brothers look like football players. I'm like, I'm with that.
Yeah. I got down to about I got down to 215 at one point. I'm hovering around 220, 225.
Yeah,
And I like it. It's a good fighting weight for me. You
yeah,
know,
same here. For
I
me,
can
it's like,
move, I can play baseball, I can do all the
yeah,
stuff that, with my kids, and I'm happy,
I can still dance, I can still jump and do all the stuff I need to do. I'm like, cool, I'm with it. Sounds great.
Listen, I mean, you were moving great when I saw you
Thank you.
pre and this is all pre-pandemic.
That's true. That's true. But thank
So,
you.
I
Thank
mean, you were up there you were up there jumping now.
you.
So, but I will ask, like, does it change how those movements and things impact you?
Yeah, I will say that. I will say, there's this moments where I was like, oh wow, my knees, and there was a lot of weight, bouncing down the knees,
Mhm.
and that helped. I think what I learned after that was that, oh, now I have. The problem is once you start, you have to maintain it.
Yeah.
That's the issue. You're like, I gotta keep doing this.
Well,
Look, I'm at the weight, and I can stop. You're like, nope, nope, you can't. So
one of my favorite burst corners that you did was the one where you were talking about, I guess you'd hurt your back
yes,
and
oh
you
god,
jumped up on the table.
stop rapping.
Yeah. And
I
all the
just
words just
I
fell.
just went just left my head.
Oh man. So you were big Disney,
Oh
like
gosh, huge.
Disney, Marvel,
Oh yeah,
the
yeah,
whole shebang.
yeah, yeah.
So and I don't know if I played this game with Nick or not. So taking Hamilton, since that's
Sure.
the the one. If you were to take the MCU, the Marvel Universe, you know where it's going. You know where it's going.
Yes.
Take the Marvel Universe, and so before we go there, let me ask you, what did you think about Rogers the musical?
You
In
know,
Or did you
I
see it like that?
I thought it was fantastic, and I've heard that there's actually going to be some people are actually thinking about making the Rogers the musical.
Oh,
I think one of the fun stories was when I found out that Mark Shaman wrote that music.
uh-huh.
I saw him at the opening. There's a show. Billy Crystal had a show on Broadway just last year called Mr. Saturday Night. I went to opening. Mark Shaman was there,
Yeah.
and I told Mark, I said, I can't believe you wrote that song when I saw you wrote it. And he was like, oh my gosh, the NDAs that I had to sign. And I was like, Mark, you have written some of the greatest tunes. He did a lot of the songs for South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut. I mean, and that's Mark Shaman. He's the orchestrator for those songs.
Yeah.
He wrote Hairspray. So we just, not Hairspray, but he did some of the music. But
Yeah.
he just cracked me up about this Rogers tune, and I just said, just thank you, just thank you. I said, he goes, if I would have known you were such a Marvel fan, I would have called you. I was like, next time they call you, call me. So yeah,
You could have been in it. You
could have been in it. Could have
could have been
totally
it.
been it.
So if you're going to take the MCU,
Yeah.
you were going to cast Hamilton.
If I was gonna cast Hamilton,
I feel like immediately the Burr Hamilton goes
the
to
who do you think?
Cap and Iron Man.
The funny thing is, for me, you say that, and that now that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But for me, the first person I thought of Burr was Loki.
Ah.
I thought of Loki,
Yeah.
but I also thought that I thought that Thor is not Hamilton.
No.
I thought Hamilton would definitely be Iron Man.
I
So
feel like
I feel
with
like
Civil War and kind
yeah,
of
you're right. You're
whole
right. It
back
does
and forth.
work.
You know,
But
they're
for some
friends,
reason,
but they're not friends.
yes.
Yeah.
So I can, now that you say that, I could definitely see it being, Cap and the funny thing is, if that's the case, then that means Cap is Burr.
Is Burr. Yeah, no,
Cap
absolutely. Because
Cap is Burr. And
because I
that
could
would be
totally see Robert Downey Jr.
he
Tony
totally
Stark as
totally Hamilton,
absolutely.
which would legitimately make that means that okay, that
And
means
you
that
can split them.
no,
So
no, but because that means Thor would have to be Philip. Will I be Philip?
okay.
Um, so he'd have to be his best friend. That means I guess Thor would have to be. I would say Thor is Mulligan
Yeah.
because he's so thing, which would funnily kind of make Hulk. No, Hulk is Mulligan. Hulk is
Mm.
Mulligan. Let's go there. Hulk is Mulligan.
I was gonna say I was gonna let you go with yours, and then I was
Hulk is
gonna come with
Mulligan,
mine. Yeah.
which would make definitely make Thor Lafayette Jefferson.
Which I think works.
It does work. It actually
It
does work. It actually does work. That'd be
because
fun.
the way Thor is like the way Lafayette was with kind of like stumbling over his words,
Yes.
not because he wasn't intelligent, but because
Yeah.
struggling with English, but
Yes.
kind of he would say things and it not come out right. That definitely fits that Thor, that Thor look.
Yes. That totally makes sense. That totally makes sense. You know, that's just funny to me now.
I love it. I love it. So you went on, you did, you do also a lot of voice acting as well. So
Yes, I
you
do.
are like all in Disney. So I know Tangled.
Yes.
Run me through the list because I don't have the
As
list
of
in front of me.
as
So
of right now, I think it's as far as Disney's concerned, it is Tangled. Something called Alice's Wonderland. Oh gosh, hold up. Let me actually give me a sec. I think I will cheat on my own behalf.
I do so many things. I don't even know what I'm in.
That's the sad part.
They're like, just read this line. We'll just add it.
Iglehart, your own, your own, your own IMDb yourself. What have I done with my life?
What have I done?
Who am I? Because I've done a couple, and a couple I know I can say, and a couple I know I can't say. So
Mhm.
I've done Tangled, I've done Tom and Jerry. What else have I done? Roborockalypse, which is there's something called Bubble Guppies,
Yep.
which is let's see,
Oh, I got
Firebuds.
kids, man. I know Bubble Guppies.
So Bubble Guppies. I did Firebuds. I did a wonderful car. Oh gosh, I can't believe I forgot that. I got to do Vampirina, which I
Oh
loved. I
yeah.
got to do Elena of Avalar, but I
Hmm.
also got to live a dream and do one of the voices for um, Ducktales.
Yes.
So the fact that I got to play, Taurus Bulba in DuckTales, who was originally voiced by Tim Curry, and the crazy part about that is that I am a huge Darkwing Duck fan,
Yep.
and I have been since it first came out. I mean, I was one of those kids, one of those teenagers who was watching it when it first came out.
Yep.
Um,
Dude, I'm right there with you. Yeah.
so but also I do a crazy voice for this thing called Hell of a Boss, which is a cartoon for adults on YouTube, which is so much fun. And also, there's a new cartoon coming out for Disney called. Actually, I'm doing a one for Disney Junior called Super Kitties,
Okay.
and I'm also doing another one for just Disney Channel called Kif.
Okay.
And the Kif trailer I think is out. I think the Super Kitties trailer is out. I don't know if I'm in those, but
Gotcha.
I know my characters in the Kif trailer in the first thing. I play the dad.
Yeah.
So, but I have so much fun doing that. That's one of my favorite things
Well,
to do.
DuckTales is what I grew up on.
Oh
I
gosh,
mean, I remember coming home that like 2 o'clock block.
yeah.
You'd have DuckTales, Darkwing Duck,
Mhm.
Tailspin,
Yep,
Chippendales Rescue Rangers,
yep.
like all of it. I was
That was
like,
that was it. That was my life.
that was the jam.
And
That was it right there.
and to this day, I always laugh at my friends. I say, when you listen to those songs, they should not. They don't need to go as hard as they do for a kids show.
Oh yeah.
as a vocalist, I know what it takes to sing like that, and those people, those singers, are singing as if they are trying to get a Grammy. I mean, they're especially on Ducktales and Chip and Dale Rescue. They are singing their faces off, and it cracks me up every time I
Well,
listen to it.
the DuckTales, Jimmy Fallon had oh, what is his name? The lead singer from Panic at the Disco
That is hysterical. Now I have to
had
find that.
him. Hey, yeah, there's a video of him doing the DuckTales theme song, and I mean, crushing it.
It's because it's such a hype tune. Like,
Absolutely.
okay, there was a blackout. There was a blackout in New York City, and we were in the Hamilton Theater. And all of a sudden, I'm on stage talking to somebody, and one of my friends, the guy who plays Mulligan at the time, his name's Wallace Smith. He says, James, how's it go? I said, what goes? He was like, chip in there. And I went there. I was like, sometimes some crimes go slipping through the tracks, but these two go slipping through the cracks. I know
Oh
some people
yeah.
listen to go, that's not the right words. But yeah, I mean, I knew that. And the funny thing is, once I started singing it, just imagine the entire Hamilton cast singing in harmony. I mean, I wish we could have had a phone. Somebody recorded that. It was so instant. It was so much fun.
That's one of my all-time favorite shows. Like, and the
That's my
movie,
the oh my gosh. I,
ridiculous.
I said at home, and I told my wife, I said, babe, I'm watching this. And she was like, I knew you were going to say that. I'm like, I'm watching it. And it was hilarious. And the fact that it had so many callbacks to some of
I
my favorites. I mean, I don't want to give any spoilers for those who
who
got that, but
whoever the lawyers were,
did their job.
give them a raise.
They did their job, because when they were at the whatever Comic-Con thing they were at,
Yep.
oh my gosh.
DC, Marvel. I mean,
Filmation, when they got to the Filmation cartoons, that's when that happened. When they walked through when they walked past those two characters, I went, no. I was living. Oh
they and the cast that they had
yes,
was ridiculous. Just
wonderful. I mean, that's what I want to get. I mean, I am in it, but to
yeah,
get deeper into it, I mean, I've met some wonderful people. I've got with the Tom and Jerry. I got to do sorry, with Tom and Jerry, I got to do work without even seeing him. He saw me at a Comic-Con, and he said, hey, we've worked together. And I was like, what, we have? And he was like, yeah. I was like, wait, Rob Paulson, who is the voice of Yakko, and
yeah,
also one of the Ninja Turtles, he was like, we worked together. And I was like, we did? He was like, yeah, I heard your voice, you were great. We did the Tom and Jerry Back to Oz. And I was like, and I walked to my back wife, I was like, I worked with Rob Paulson. I worked with Rob. I wasn't even there, but I got to. So,
oh, don't even get me started on Animaniacs.
I mean, oh, dude, don't
Come
even,
on.
bruh. I mean, that was my. I actually, this past, like 2 weeks ago, I showed my kids. My kids are grown now. My
Yeah.
daughter's 26 and she's married. They like really stupid things, and I said, I have something stupid for you, and it was on the Shana, on the Shana, on the Shana, Schnutzelbunk. They go to Germany, and this
Okay.
guy has a terrible name, and they take his song and just go absolutely ape shit with it.
Yeah.
And I played it for them, and my wife looked at me and she goes, I hate you because I know them and they're gonna play this song over and over. And sure enough, they do. And I have a song. I finally got to sing a song that I know will irritate my wife to no end. On the show Kiff, there's a song that the dad sings about taking a trip.
hmm
And I can't wait. That's all I'm gonna say. I cannot wait for it to hit the airwaves later next year, because I know parents are going to want to shoot me. And I
Nice.
am going to gladly take the bullet for their children, for how repetitive and crazy this song is going to be.
So have your kids are grown, so I don't know.
Yes.
You didn't hit the Bluey stage. Like, did you watch any of
No,
that?
no, 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 no. We were literally no. We had, unfortunately, we had Booba,
Uh-huh.
which that's horrible. Hate them. Don't know why.
I don't
Not
know that
Booba.
one.
Not the Boobas. They're the Teletubbies.
Oh, yeah. Well,
So one of
yeah.
them was named Booba or something like that, and I was like, oh my god, kill me. Those, but we also, because they were at this certain age, we were able to, show them, the stuff we like. So like
Yeah.
Sesame Street, Looney Tunes, things like that. So they were able to learn in different ways. But yeah, but the Bluey looks cute to me though.
Oh,
You know,
it's brilliant. It's
but
absolutely brilliant.
but also all the kids, the crazy thing is they're all adults. My oldest is almost 30, and she has a baby now. She just had a newborn baby, which I'm so happy. Congratulations, Monique and Aiden.
Congrats. Yeah.
They will call me up and say, "Hey, we watched you know, Otis. There's an Apple TV show called Rolling with Otis, where
Yeah.
I sing the theme song and I also play I play the farmer." And I was like, "Your child's not old enough for that." Like, I know, but you said you did it, so we watched it. And I got to do I was just on Blue's Clues this past Halloween
Okay.
as Jack o' Lantern, and they called me. We saw you on Blue's Clues. I'm like, your child can't watch this yet. She has no comprehension of what. Yeah, but we sat down. I'm like, she's 3 weeks old. She has her eyes haven't even focused yet.
Yeah. My 2-year-old is infatuated with Bluey,
Yeah.
and we'll put him to bed
Mhm.
and stay up, and we'll
Well,
still be watching Bluey. And I'm like,
that's the sad part. Yeah,
this is crazy.
it,
But
it,
but it's
I have a couple shows like that too.
but it's one of those shows that they thread the adult humor with kids humor so that
Yes.
adults are actually engaged. So obviously I'm trying to find people for podcasts, and I'm like, I want Bluey's dad. Like,
Ooh.
I want to get him. His name's Dave McCormick. So I do this deep dive onto social media,
Yeah.
find out he's actually in like this punk band in Australia. He's the lead singer of this like punk Australian band.
Yeah.
Oh, what is their name? Custer.
Okay, I
Their
can look that up.
the name is Custer. I think it's Custer. Custer, and like I'm sitting there listening to their music, and I'm like, this is so crazy. But like sometimes when you see animated people,
Yeah.
like people that are doing animation, like, okay, well, they're definitely putting on a voice. They sound like them, but not. No, this
Yeah.
dude is legit the same guy. So all I can see is this character singing punk punk rock, Australian punk rock, and it's amazing. But I'm trying to I'm trying to find him and get him on the show. I'm like, that would be just stellar.
More power to you, man. I think you probably could. I'm not
So
worried about it.
we're trying. So are you off TikTok? Like, or you
I am
just
not. I'm not
didn't
on.
really?
I'm on TikTok. I did a couple things while I was in Chicago,
Yeah,
and I'll probably be going back because I'm making decisions about what social medias and stuff that you want to be on and where you want to be and what you want to promote, blah blah blah.
yeah.
But I have a young friend of mine. She's like my little sister, and she's a TikTok like champion. Like she's got millions of followers, and she's like, "Come on, big bro, you got to do it." So I did a couple, and she's like, "No, you did well. You got to keep your momentum." So I think once we get to the new year, she's gonna help me produce some stuff. So
Gotcha.
that's
Oh, well, I enjoyed it. It was the bow tie.
yes, words from the bow tie.
Words from the bow tie. So I enjoyed it, and I think that's actually how we connected
Yes,
was
exactly.
was
Yeah,
through that. So,
yeah.
but hey, so it's I've had you on here. We've cut up and we've talked, but
Love it.
kind of just tell everybody where they can find you. As far as their social medias
Social media
and
as of
things,
right
and
now, you can find me at JM Iglehart on Instagram, and right now that's probably the best place to find me as far as social media is concerned. TikTok will probably pick back up around January because once we get to Hercules, I think I'm gonna start doing some new stuff.
yeah.
And look for me at 54 Below or go to 54below.com or whatever. You can see my show December 8th and 9th, and hopefully you'll come down if you are in the New Jersey area. Come and check out Hercules, Disney's Hercules, because I tell you, it's going to be amazing. Believe me.
And this is an all new show, brand new show,
All
just
brand new show, brand new show. Yeah,
fantastic.
Alan Menken and David Zippel have written new songs for the show. They've expanded it. We did it once in the park a couple years ago, and it was only 90 minutes. Now it's
Yeah.
full 2-act show, and trust me, it's really fun.
I feel like Disney's pushing in on Hercules because you've got the show that you're doing, you've got the live action movie that's coming out,
Yeah,
because they're live actioning everything.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole different conversation.
And then also, obviously the end of Thor: Love and Thunder,
Hercules was there. He's supposed to
Hercules
show
was
up.
there.
Yeah,
So Hercules is about to make a
Hercules. He's gonna make some noise.
he is. So it's good. So James, thank you so much for being on the show.
Wes,
And
my pleasure, man. My
dude,
pleasure.
I've loved this. And if you ever come down to Florida, we're gonna get you in the wrestling ring.
Most definitely, I will let you trust. I'll let you know. But what's funny is a lot of my friends who are in wrestling are in Florida, and they were like, "Dude, when you come down, you got to do something." So they, I, I would love to. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but someday I will be in the pro wrestling ring, and I will probably be a heel because that seems most. I think when people, I think when people come in to that business, if you're not a part of it, you don't need to do anything that'll get you over. You need to get over in a mean way and
Yeah.
like work your way out.
Yeah.
That's just how I see it, because you're in their world,
Well, some of the best characters now started off as heels.
Yeah, and also I that whole Andy Kaufman thing of just coming in with the Hollywood thing. I always thought it'd be fun to be like, I'm from New York, okay, from Broadway. We're
Yeah.
smart people, okay, where the business comes from. That's where it is, And that I think taking that route would be fun.
They say no business like show business.
There's no special. That's from where I come from, people.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Now you're about to get the business.
Right, right, and just start just get your ass whooped and keep stepping.
I love it. I'm like, when he told me I can get in the ring and
trust you're gonna have a ball,
take a bump or throw somebody, I'm like, let's go. Let's let's go. Because I mean, listen, I'm not the biggest guy, but I'm
but you yeah,
I can handle myself.
Yes, exactly.
So what I find funny is my wife always says this, especially on the baseball field and stuff like that, because I still, like, I'm not small, like I'm 225 and 5'10", so like I'm a little stocky, and like what I'll do is I'll play a game with the kids where I'll send them to first base. I'm like, okay, you got to run the bases. Once you hit first base, I'm coming. Do not let me tag you.
Okay.
And she's like, y'all don't know, he's faster than he looks.
My kids found that out too. They keep going, how do you catch us? I'm like, because you're assuming I have kid speed.
Yes. Yes. I've got parent speed. I got that arm, that arm reach.
Whole different superpower.
Yeah, Sinbad does a great.
Yeah. Oh, I know that bit. that mother arm.
Yep.
Yes.
Grabbed him from a block and a half away.
Yes. Yes. Snatch me back from 4 blocks away. I remember that concert. God. Yes.
I made the mistake of saying, "Well, he ain't here, is he?" And then I turned away. I should have never turned my back.
I should just kept on rocking. Well, he ain't here. Now you're gonna make me go watch that concert. Thanks, Lex.
Afros and bell bottoms. Afros and bell bottoms.
That's the one. That is the one.
I've watched that so many times.
That's my one. Oh gosh.
So man, we could go on for hours, but for real, man, thank you so much for coming on the show. We'll have to have you come back, and we'll keep in touch. I'll shoot you all the info, for the show and all that fun stuff.
But let people know what's happening.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Of course.